Gentrification, public safety, and affordable housing. These are the issues at the center of a very contentious city council race in the heart of Harlem. So voters in District 9, which stretches from central Harlem to Morningside Heights and East Harlem, are choosing between three candidates.
Now, one of them is joining us in studio this morning, New York State Assemblywoman Inez Dickens, who previously held this seat, by the way, for more than a decade. So good morning, Assemblywoman Dickens. Thanks for being here.
Good morning, Dan, and good morning, Hazel. Thank you so much for having me this morning.
Of course. You know, this is a very interesting race here. It's become one of the most hotly contested, most sought-after seats in the city council. The race took a drastic turn last month, though, when the incumbent, Councilman Kristen Richardson, said she wasn't going to seek re-election. Now, you already had your hand in the race.
Yes.
Well, let me ask you this. Why leave the state Senate to go back to the city council?
Well, I'm in the assembly, but many of the constituents in the district asked me to run for the city council because I had done so well for the district when I was there for 3 terms. I was in leadership. I was the deputy majority leader, and many people felt that they had not received a proper representation by the incumbent, and also the prior incumbent, which was Bill Perkins, had been ill for some time. So as a result, there had been a lot of loss for funding and abilities to have affordable housing.
All right, well, let's talk about new development in Harlem, because a lot of that's what's happening right now,
Yes.
right? Now, the current city councilwoman, she voted against the 2 towers that were going up on, I think it was 145th Street, right?
145.
Yeah, so it ended up turning into what, like a truck stop in the middle of the street, basically. Where do you stand then on new development? Because it's kind of pushing everybody out.
Well, no, that development was not pushing everybody out because the city council person, the responsibility when a developer wants to build in your district is to negotiate in order to get the highest number of units at the lowest AMI. The AMI is already affecting people's ability to pay rent because they use the federal definition, which includes a county, one of the richest counties in New Jersey, in with New York. So it automatically raises. So it's your responsibility to negotiate that the AMI is reduced. In addition, that 145 development was also seeking to get 421A. And I believe they were grandfathered in with 421A, which means they were mandated, if they did get the 421A approved, that they would have a certain number of units had to be income targeted rather than market rate. So people in the community would be able to actually reside in, say, whatever you negotiated, say 40%, 50%, whatever. Of course, a developer is usually going to start with 20%.
Well, yeah, right. So this also brings, but it does bring the question overall of gentrification, right? Because you're saying that this specific development may not have been pushing people out, but there are Harlem residents who do feel that they are being pushed out by the high cost of rent. When you look at the rents in Manhattan, Queens, other areas, that's now making its way up to the Harlem area, right? Where some of these new luxury towers are pretty pricey. So how do you kind of battle that at the same time?
Well, you know, if a developer wants to get 421A or a tax abatement from the city of New York, they're mandated to have a certain number. It's 20% inclusionary. But it's up to the city council person, if they understand underwriting without killing the development, to be able to negotiate to get a higher number of units at a reduced AMI. For instance, National Urban League on 125th to 126th. Their development is 177 units of income targeted. That was a development that I was able to get passed, and that happened to have been state because it's state land. And it's 40% AMI to 80%. And that's because many of my constituents have complained that their children have graduated from college, they come back, and they're unable to pay the rents. Yet they don't qualify for 40%.
Well, let's switch gears and talk about public safety, because crime has been up in that area, including some deadly smoke shop.
Well, the smoke shop that everybody was talking about was the one on Malcolm X Boulevard between 125th and 126th Street. They're now closed down. They finally got them out. The police were able to go in, clean them out, and get them out of. There were so many people that were shot either outside, and this year, one person was killed right inside.
So what is your plan to improve public safety?
Well, public safety is something that we all have to work on, and it has to start at home. And in addition to that, in my district, we're not quite so anti-police. And in my district, when they call 911, they want a response. What they don't want is abuse. What they don't want is to be arrested just on skin color or your dress.
Of course, I have to ask you this, because residents in the district have also been protesting against the number of drug treatment centers which have been opening up in Harlem. Right now, there was a big drug problem. Our Mary Murphy had really zeroed in on some areas off of 125th Street. Do you want these in the neighborhood?
No.
Are they beneficial?
No. This started back in the 60s when the government said, oh, black people are drug addicts, so you want the programs in your community and where you can go and visit them and they feel comfortable, the patients feel comfortable. However, it's become a dumping ground. Harlem has become a dumping ground where in East Harlem and Central Harlem and West Harlem, they have over the years from the 60s till now have continued to dump and put more and more programs that are badly needed, as are mental health. But the issue is it should be shared. And I have a piece of legislation that I put in that unfortunately did not get out of committee that said that based upon the census report and based upon the community board, if there were over a certain number of such programs in, then no more would be put in. If you had less, then you would share in it. The entire city has to share in it because all of us have drug addiction, unfortunately, in our neighborhoods.
Inez Dickens, thanks so much for coming in to speak about your campaign.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I so much appreciate it. And thank you, because when I was talking about sanitation, the WPIX was the only one that came up to Harlem to actually record.
We'll be there.
Thank you.